Hey, good afternoon and welcome to Sports Town Chicago. This presentation this Thursday afternoon, it's all access, Aurora Borealis, or if you prefer, Aurora Borealis All Access. We're speaking soccer, minor league soccer, and we're speaking specifically to the partnership between the Illinois Media School and this brand new franchise, Aurora Borealis, playing soccer out there in Mooseheart, or at the Ohio Mooseheart complex in Aurora. And today I have ultimate, the ultimate pleasure of sitting and having a chat. And notice I said a chat, not an interview. A chat with a man who is pretty much a legend in the Chicago area as far as soccer is concerned. He is a coach, CJ Brown. Coach, good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
May I, sir, shake your hand?
Yes, indeed. Definitely.
And folks, if you see my hand looking a little bit weird in the coming days, don't worry, I won't be washing it for a while.
Come on.
I just shook the hand of a legend right here.
I don't know about that.
All right, so Aurora Borealis, brand new franchise. They will be campaigning in the Premier League of America tournament, like we said, minor league soccer. Brand new franchise. However, they have a very experienced coach who is going to guide them through this period. They have 10 games to play in the Premier League of America, and they've already played some practice games. They've had 4 practice games. They have a 1-3 record, but we're just speaking about a brand new franchise and practice. You read somewhat into the results, but you more read into the development of the team and of the franchise on a whole, and that is exactly why we have Coach Brown here with us this afternoon. But we're going to start off first by speaking to Coach, a little bit about your history, from all the way back San Jose, San Francisco, until you made it to Chicago. And I mean, you've actually hit some lofty heights in your playing career. Yeah. Do you ever get to that point where you pinch yourself sometimes and wonder, did I do all of that?
I would say every day. Every day that I talk soccer or I get to get on the field or I'm coaching or playing, whatever, you always look back and I always think about, man, I can't believe that I've done some of the things I have, and I can't believe I'm actually where I'm at with soccer. So soccer has taken me to a lot of good places and provided me with a lot of stuff for me and my family. So it's been a dream, and a lot of it's come true.
Right. And while we won't speak to his age, however, but he's let's call him a young achiever, a man who has done a whole lot more than a lot of people will do in probably twice his lifetime. He's a real high achiever, and you transitioned from a player where you won the MLS Cup with the Fire.
Yes.
You won 4 Lamar Hunt Cups.
Yes.
Tell us about those.
It was a great experience. I mean, to go in your first year, 98, to win both the MLS Cup and the Open Cup was awesome. It was a great feeling. It's something you never expect as a first-year player, and the first year of a club being put together. So we actually set the standards way too high for ourselves, and it was really tough to try to match that going forward. But we did make a big commitment to the Open Cup, and we ended up winning 3 more of those. And I think in that time period we were probably in 2 finals that we missed out on. So my career there was really, I felt was good. I had some up and downs here and there, but just the experience of being with that club was great. The club was good to me. They've been good to me from then to now. So I owe them a lot, and it's been a great experience.
And you speak of probably setting the bar too high. Not necessarily verbatim what you said. Are you speaking even to this campaign? Because I mean, the Fire haven't had the best of campaigns this season.
No, it's now for them, for the Fire. It's a rebuilding period for them, and rebuilding is not just. I mean, a lot of people throw that word out there. Oh, we're going to rebuild this year, but they are actually rebuilding. They cleaned house, which is something I think the program needed tremendously. So they have a good coach, they have a good GM in there, and they have a plan. You have Logan Paul still there, so he can kind of help guide what the club has been about. And now Logan has a really good head on his shoulders about what he sees, how he sees the club too. So I think putting those all together, it's tough for fans because you're so invested and you want to see results. I think if they start to look at how the soccer's being played and how they're trying to build the club, I think they're going to be, they should be happy about what they're doing, and I think the results will come. They'll start piecing the right players in, and it's not easy. And like you said, our first year of building a club in '98, the pieces fell together. They didn't know what they
Almost
had.
like
I mean,
beginner's luck.
you could say that. You don't know what you're getting. I was a college kid, and we brought in some veteran players from other teams, and then we lucked out with the Polish connection that we had. So I mean, it was a good recipe that went together, and now you're hoping with the Fire that they can put a good recipe together and build another good group.
Right. Well, and that would actually be a nice segue to exactly why we're here, but we're going to hold on that for a while. We're going to now touch a little bit into your coaching career. You went back to the Fire as assistant coach. You were also at Real Salt Lake,
Yes.
and then you were at New York City FC.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about your transition from being a player to being a coach.
While you were playing, especially back then, you didn't make a ton of money, so you kind of had two jobs, and I coached on the side. So I coached youth kids throughout, and then as I started seeing my career coming to an end, I was thinking about retirement. I was thinking I want to get into the academies and start really coaching kids that are going to go into the next level of pro. When that retirement came, I kind of didn't know what was going to happen, and I lucked out with Jason. I was down at the combine just hanging out with some friends, and ended up bumping into the Salt Lake staff with Garth, and they picked me up for a coaching. I interviewed and just randomly, so it was kind of interesting how that went, and it was just a really good connection. Stuck around with them for 3 years in Salt Lake City. Jason left, so then I felt that was my opportunity to come back to Chicago, and spent a year there with Frank Gallup, sorry. And it was a good experience with Frank Gallup. With Jason going to New York, you feel like I felt like there was going to be an even bigger opportunity. So that process came about, and something you just don't want to pass up. You don't know. Obviously, it didn't end up the right way, but you don't want to pass up an opportunity of being surrounded with great players like that, with an actual very good organization in New York is a big challenge. And the cool thing is at one point you're going in there, you're kind of nervous because it's New York, and everybody's thinking, all right, the pressures of New York. And I don't think there was pressures of New York, because New York City people, I mean, they backed it no matter how good or bad you did.
Nice.
The pressure was the big club, and how results matter.
Yeah.
And that's what we kind of learned. And you're dealing with, the top echelon of players. And so that was a great experience. It didn't end out the right way, not for me personally, but you learn a lot. And I think the only way you get better is through failures. And that is considered a failure for me, and I want to learn from it. And now I'm in a great opportunity to try to continue coaching.
And again, you're segueing and kind of moving a step ahead of me, but that's fine. I mean, that's why you're a soccer player, right? But okay, so let's move ahead. You would have played professionally while you were coaching, which means that your development was always continuous. I mean, you never left the pitch and you only returned for training or just for a game. You went out there and you coached kids. So while you were developing as a young player yourself, you were also helping other minds to learn the game and get into the game. Now, after New York City, based on your resume, you could have easily looked for a job, stay in the majors, or go elsewhere, but then you chose to do minor league soccer. Let me jump to the question: why Aurora?
When the whole situation went down in New York, it was in a tough situation because teams are already kind of vying for their coaches, and again, I'm only an assistant coach in Major League Soccer, so I think it's a little tougher to jump around as assistant coach to just, okay, I can pop up with this team. I've been very loyal, and Jason's been great to me, so waiting for him to get another head coaching job and possibly going with him again would be great, but you never know.
Right.
So the Aurora thing came. I was looking. My wife's. There's really no reason for us to be in New York if there's no job. So Chicago to us is like home, and my
Right.
kids are very comfortable here. So I started looking around for jobs, coaching jobs in Chicago, and I saw the Aurora one. I said, you know what? I live in Elmhurst. I said this would be pretty close. Let me look into it and see what it is. And I literally on like LinkedIn tried to connect with Tim Cottingham, the owner, and he said, you know what? I think I might have already found the head coach. He's like, but I would like you to be a part of this. And I said, you know what? I don't want to get in the way of anything. I said, but I would love to spend some time and work with the kids and to have the experience to work with college kids again, work with kids that they're not getting paid, kids that maybe been overlooked or they just don't have that avenue to the higher levels is really fun because it's kids that when they show up to training or they come to a game, it's because they truly, truly love the game.
Right.
These kids have full-time jobs. Some of them are full-time students or doing something to provide for their families, and then they take time out of their week to come to training, to listen to me or listen to our coaches, get on them about being better and pushing themselves. And then on the weekends they go out and play, and that to me is what it used to be. Soccer used to be about when we used to play, when we used to grow up and play. It wasn't about the money. It was about going out and love of the game and being out with your buddies. And we still try to be competitive. We still push the guys to the limits, and we still try to do everything as professional as we possibly can. But there's just no money involved. It's for the love of the game.
Right. So based on that, then you pretty much answered what would have been my next question about the transition. How easy or how hard it is. But based on what you just explained, it's a pretty like almost a no-brainer transition because you've been there. It's almost like you're just doing it all over again, and you seem very comfortable doing it.
It is the transition to coming from coaching there to there is definitely, it's kind of easy in some sense, but the soccer part is difficult because now you're taking kids going from playing with the David Villas and the Pirlos and
all the big names,
and then now you're working with college kids and high school kids, and now you're trying to take away what you've seen for so many years, and now you got to come back. And let's be honest, it's definitely a different lower level, and so.
And your expectations have to change.
Yes.
Because you always have to keep reminding yourself that these are kids.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're not pros.
Exactly.
They're not paying for money.
The coaches and I, we go at it all the time, talking like, why is he not getting this or what, because I'm so used to saying, a few things on a board or a few things to a guy, and he goes out and does it. Well, now you have to kind of not just say it. You got to show it, and you got to explain it, and you got to go over it and over
and
it.
give it time to sink in and all of that.
Yes, but that's the fun part of it. That's when it starts to sink in, then you start to say as a coach and a person, you're like, I'm getting to these kids,
through, right?
And that's the
sense of achievement
pleasure
starts to come, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're speaking Aurora Borealis soccer. You're on All Access Aurora Borealis, and we're speaking to Coach CJ Brown. We did a little bit of his background, and now we're speaking about this new franchise that he's with. Of course, a franchise that the Illinois Media School through SportsTownChicago.com is partnering with them on as they take on the Premier League of America. Now, Coach, speak to me now about the players that you have there. When you look at the bunch of players that you have and the available resources in terms of talent, are you encouraged?
Definitely. When I first got out there, when I first came out for the first tryout, we had a mix of kids. I think they were fairly local. A lot of them were pretty young, and we saw about 2 or 3 kids out of the groups that we saw. We're like, you know what? There's a bright kid right here. Let's see if we can keep a hold of him. I have players that I used to coach back in as youth kids that were playing with the Fire Juniors. So I have about two or three of those, and then there's actually 2 or 3 kids that I didn't coach that were a lot younger that came through the Fire Juniors, and then now I maybe have about 3 or 4 Division I kids from either UIC or DePaul or something like that. So I think we have a wide variety of players, and I want to say there's a lot of talent there. I just don't know compared to this is the first time I've been in this league and seen this league, so we haven't quite played any teams yet in our league.
Right.
I think the Croatian Eagles, but
Eagles, right? That first game that you lost 1-0.
and that's our first game. So if you put all the 4 games that we played, I think that was one of the more comparable games what we'll be seeing. And it wasn't too bad for our first outing. I think if you played if we played them again, then it would be a little bit different.
Right,
It should.
right.
I mean, I think it would still be close, but I think you would see more of a structured team than you did the first.
So tell me, with these players, young kids, and now they're going to be coached by the CJ Brown. I mean, how has their reaction been? Did they take a couple of days or weeks to let it sink in that, we have this storied coach who's going to be guiding us? Or did they just get right into it and say, let's learn as much as we can from this coach?
I think it's a mix of both. I think there's some guys that caught on really quick and they're just going about their business, about working hard and trying to figure out the systems. But then I think there's a few of them that might be in a little awe of what's going on. And I don't necessarily think it's me. I mean, it could be. But I think these are kids that are so eager to impress. And they feel like there's an opportunity, so they're trying so hard. And I think that's a great thing. It's a great thing to have. And now for us, we need to settle down.
Right.
And I try to remind them every day that they've been playing soccer all their lives. This isn't the first time you played soccer coming in front of me. So, and they realize that. And I think it's a matter now. We're a new club, and it's trying to figure out who each other are. They don't figure out me. They got to figure out their neighbor, the guy that's playing in front of them, or to the left or right of them. And I think that's what we're going through right now, is figuring out what's each other's strengths and weaknesses and how we can play off of those.
All right. You just saw on screen there, we showed a couple of goals from one of the games, and I know in the match program, CJ's take, you speak of the thirds, the defensive third, the midfield, and the attacking third.
Yes.
Now, pretty much the defense, you basically said it that you really do not have the kind of unit that you probably, and this is just my words, the unit that you probably would like to have, but in midfield and in attack, you have ammunition to work with. Now, let's speak to the defense. 8 goals let in, 5 scored. As yourself as a centre-back, and an accomplished centre-back, a tough and a rugged centre-back, and I'm sure you did not like anybody scoring on your team.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at this defensive lineup, which, I mean, we've carried the games. I've been to some of the games. I've seen them. And the defense is, if you look at, say, that opening goal against CKS Varta, corner, floated in.
Yes.
Defender standing there, no pressure whatsoever. And he found a way to miraculously turn the goal, the ball past his own, goalkeeper. I'm sure mistakes like those, especially if you watch the professional game, it makes you cringe a bit. But then I guess from your standpoint, you just have to look at it differently. But I'm sure you'd want to strengthen that defensive unit.
For sure. Especially that goal specifically, I think that's a lack of concentration, and we talked about it as a group. And it's not just one individual person. It stems from the goalkeeper all the way on to the attacking group, and it's the whole thing of messages, sending it from the locker room onto the field. And these guys are so excited about being on the field and getting a chance to play, they almost forget about what the role is and what their the objectives and their individual detail is in a game. And that's one goal that actually cost us. Yeah, we got a ton of goals. I mean, that's obviously from the last game was a game that, for me, you don't walk into that game thinking you're going to win.
And that's the Chicago PDL. And one thing that we saw as we look at some of the goals is that the marking, the tracking was basically absent. I mean, players stood there in the box and they had all the time in the world to pick their spot and scored. And
you're dealing with a back line that they don't know each other. Yeah, we have some individual guys that you think can defend. We have two or three big solid center backs, and then we have some outside backs that like to get up and down. But then they don't know, okay, when he goes that I'm covering, or what's his weakness if he does get beat, and how to cover for each other. And these are things. At a higher level, it catches on quicker, but at a lower level, it takes more time to guys to really understand their role. And to say you want attacking outside backs, some of them are outside backs and they only attack. but how do you find that difference of,
Right,
okay, can you still
tracking
defend,
back and
put yourself in good
covering, all that,
situations? So
right.
you see a lot of missed marks because guys are, focusing on one part of the game and not the whole game, and then that drags one guy
It's a
out.
ball watching, and all of that comes in there too.
And for me, if you're seeing guys run in the box untracked, that stems from the forwards down end, because there's usually only one forward. So the people running in are midfielders and stuff like that, and they're not necessarily in tune with what their back line of how to stay with marks. And again, we're still trying to find leaders on our group. We're trying to find people that know the game well enough to play it, organize it, watch it, meanwhile still do their job on the field. And I think guys are a little hesitant to start doing that because they're so focused on trying to be good
because
themselves.
we've seen even on some plays as we move now to speak into midfield and attack, and the transition into attack, where we see sometimes guys look up, they see the goal, and you can tell they want to squeeze that trigger, they want to get that ball off, but they're hesitant, like, a lack of confidence.
Yes.
But it is obvious, however, that you do have some talent in midfield and attack.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a couple of games where you seem to have taken the philosophy that, hey, the best form of defense is attack.
Yeah.
And the players just run at it, and they were giving defenders trouble back there. I mean, you speak of leaders on the field. I think of a Will Butler.
Yeah.
You think of a Suraji or a Kane. These are players who can actually create some damage. Against Rockford the Raptors, you actually created, who knows, I stopped counting at one point as to how many goals you created, but then you actually started scoring. You scored 4 goals, and I was saying, because I was doing color commentary, that it's a habit that players want to develop. They want to see that ball rattle the back of the net, and the net rather, and when you get to that point, then you start to become comfortable, and it flows better.
The Rockford game was actually a good showing of, if we are in a good groove and we're playing against a team close to our level, then we can play the way we've been training and learning. When you get up against a team like the Fire, all kind of bets are out, and you're kind of penned up against your goal, so it's a little more difficult to show how you really want to play. I like the Rockford game because now it gave the guys a little bit of confidence to say, you know what, this is what we've been working on, and if we are good with the ball, if our movements are sharp, and the ideas and the plan, the way we want to do it does work, now everything has to be faster, sharper, and cleaner. And if we can keep perfecting that and getting that better and better and better, I think that'll match up well in the PLA League. Right,
definitely. Now, in terms of getting the team to gel and the chemistry and systems, how has that been going?
That's been a challenge. Again, I come in right from the beginning before we even started saying, you know what, I really want to get into a 4-2-3-1. One, not knowing how many forwards I'm going to have. And when I did get here, we didn't really have any forwards. We had one, if that. And so I was like, 4-3-1 is perfect. 4-2-3-1 is perfect for us, because now I'll just flood my midfield and see if I can get them to be the attackers as much as possible. As we've moved on with only one forward, and then now we're starting to bring in 2 and 3 forwards, it's a lot of work for just that one forward. So, and what I'm noticing, the teams that we've played, every team has like a really confident, strong backline and a forward that can push through. And I think we need 2. I think we need 2 guys up there that can be busy to create.
Keep defenders thinking, keep them moving.
And that'll give our outside wingers a little more opportunity, because if we put one guy out there, then it's going to be 3 against 1 all the time, and it's not going to...
easy to figure out that system.
Yeah, so if we put 2 guys up there, right now we're kind of pushing into almost a 4-4-2, but more of a diamond shape, where I still have my attacking men a little bit higher, and looking for a really true number 6. We were doing with 2, and even when we have 2, they just sit back. So we figured that that's not going to work to have us sit, because we're not a good team if we sit back. We've shown that plenty of times. But when we're aggressive going forward, it may not be the cleanest. It's not the cleanest, but it does give us opportunities.
But I can tell you from what I've seen, when that comes together, it will be a good looking team.
It will. I think a lot of our strength is out on the wings, with Will Butler, with George Alvarez, Akeem, I think, and then Anthony Parra. These guys have pace, decent with the ball, and I mean, again, we haven't seen the shooting yet. So if we can get that combination coming along, I think we will be definitely dangerous in the attack. And then it's just tightening up our back line. And all these games we've kind of been mixing and matching, trying to figure out who we really have.
Right, trying to get that combination, that starting 11 and then 3 players on the bench and more.
Yeah, so this from here on out, we're going to have a core group of guys that we're working with and trying to get on the same page and hopefully go into our first game.
All right. Quickly, let's speak now to the fitness of the players.
Yes.
Because one thing I noticed is that the field at the Ohio Mooseheart complex is rather small,
yes.
so the transitions can be quicker.
Yes.
But I mean, can these players run 90 minutes? And when they go on the road, if they come up on bigger pitches, can they actually run for 90 minutes on a bigger pitch?
That's going to be a challenge, and I think we experienced that last night. Fitness is 100% going to be an issue. It's great that our field is small. It's going to fit right into our fitness right now. And it keeps things compact for us. So our home field is going to be an advantage, hopefully for us. We got to try to use that as an advantage. Going away, playing on a bigger field will be a challenge. I don't think we're fit enough. And that's tough. We only train 3 times a week, and I have guys that are, like I said, full-time working. So them coming from work to jumping on a training field, I mean, you really want to focus on the soccer side of things, on playing versus, all right, you just got done working on a house. Now you're going to come out here and just run sprints, So we're trying to balance it, and I think some of the guys have been understanding it and taking the time on the days off to go do some extra running. So credit to them. They're trying. They're pushing hard. They're giving the effort, and the good thing here is you can sub 7 players, so which is unusual. But for right now, I will be taking advantage of it.
So, Premier League of America, 10 games, 2 months basically. At the end of it, or just over 2 months, at the end of it, what position? I mean, you're probably not thinking of being able to win the league, but what position outside of that would make you feel that you've accomplished 80% of what you set out to do?
I'm going to tell you right now, we come to training, and when we first started this, we come in with the idea of we want to be at the top. I mean, if anybody on our group is not thinking that way, then I think they're in the wrong group.
Right.
Will we be there? I can't guarantee that. Only team that I really truly know is Adria, and they always bring quality players, and they're always at the top of the league. So I want to be close to them. I want to be able to compete with them. I want to, wherever they stand, I want to be around them because I know they're going to be on the top. So for me, it's I'm going to see if we can win the whole thing. And at the end of the day, I don't want to blow out. I want to see our team competing every single day and every game. I want us game-wise to be competing. That's the biggest thing for me. And results matter. Where we stand, I want to be somewhere in top 3.
All right. Well, Coach, we can only wish you all the best of luck. We know it's pretty much a Herculean task, but you've obviously shown that you're up to the task and you have a lot of the tools to work with. We wish you all the best. I want to say thanks to you for coming in and having this chat with us, because we will be taking the ride with you, pretty much Sports Zone Chicago.
Awesome.
All Access or Aurora Borealis will continue. You can join us again as we follow this team and we track them all the way to the end of the season somewhere in July. You can watch the games on Sports Zone Chicago, STC 2. That's about it for this afternoon. That's where we wrap it. But just to tell you that Borealis' first game, league game, is this Saturday away to Carpathia.
Yes.
All right, and we can only wish them luck. Like we said, stay tuned. We will bring it all to you as you get all access to Aurora Borealis. Let the light shine. Let there be light. Let there be soccer. Wrapping it up, I'm Courtney Wallace saying thanks to you for joining us. Thanks again to Coach CJ Brown for having been here. And we'll see you again on All Access Aurora Borealis. SportsZoneChicago.com. Check us out.